Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. Alright, we have a letter that came in to customer service from, this was sent to Dave Seaman, our Director of Instruction, who forwarded it on to me. And he asked Dave to forward these comments to me, and so that I could do some dailies on them, and that's what I'm preparing to do. I've already done one of them, and there's two more, and I'm going to address them, one today and another one another day. Again, Doug Boone says, number one, wrists. The Surge swing has many parts that deviate from conventional golf, and one of them is the Surge's view on no cocking of the wrist. I've always been told that the number one alignment in golf is a bent right wrist and a flat left wrist, or even slightly bowed, is better. I like the flat, don't like the bowed. I'll explain that once I get going after I finish this paragraph. He says, number one thing about wrist is a bent right wrist and a flat left wrist, or even a slightly bowed. Bowed is better. No way, I'll discuss that. All players have these qualities at the top of their swing, but only the great players are able to sustain it. Therein lies the difference between players. How long can you sustain this position and the lag it creates? This is not just my opinion, it's geometry. There are schools of thought that say that on the backswing the player must not attempt to cock the right wrist. It will happen on the way down, all by itself. Hogan did not say that he wished he had three right arms for nothing. Okay, first time I've ever heard that about Hogan, but I do know I've read that Sam Snead once wished he had two right hands. And so with that, let's look at what's going to happen with the wrist of the swing. Basically, if you just stand here, you'll notice that your hands are hanging straight down. If you extended either or both of your hands like you're going to shake hands with somebody, they're relatively flat, okay? Now, when I grip the club in front of myself, and we know we take the club, we stand it up in front, check the alignment of the club face to the ground, point it somewhere towards our left hip, because the hands are always both pointed inside, so I come up and point it here. Dr. Armstrong always likes to teach somebody to grip the club in their forward hand like this, so this way you see that the hands are always ahead of the club face, and that gives us that nice slight position of the right hand even with the ball at address, to help also in the action of that even though I start the backswing with my right hip and right shoulder starting to turn, my feeling is always that the toe of the club moves first, all right? And it can move first, leading my hands back, because in terms of that direction, it is already ahead of my hands in that direction at address. When I have a ball here, and I always feel like that at address, if you drop the straight line down from my right hand, so if I grip this club right here, and I have a good grip on the ball, you'll see that from the V in my right hand, it's basically straight at the ball when I get into the grip, okay? That's what I'm looking for in all setups with all clubs, all right? So now, left wrist is relatively flat. They're both relatively flat at this point. This is quite similar to the impact position, because we state that the hands must win the race to impact, all right? The hands always get the impact first, and the club is catching up in a nanosecond squaring up, because of the rotation of the arms in the ball and socket joint. The whole unit rotates. It's not the wrist just doing it, not the fingers, the palm, and certainly not just the wrist. Now, Dr. Armstrong, when he talked to me about the wrist, we have very little vertical motion to the ground. We have more horizontal motion. Vertical will cause some arching in the wrist too, but it doesn't cup very much. All right, I can't go up very much. I got more down than I have up, but I got a heck of a lot of right and left. And if I go with both hands, so in this position, that's bowed, that's cupped, bowed. All right. When we get to when we start at address, both wrists are just about relatively flat. Okay. As soon as I start my takeaway, and the left arm and the rotations of both arms start, this arm is the string in the backswing. It's the string, rock on a string concept, rock, string, hand. We move our body left so we can swing this rock faster on this string. Now watch what happens. As soon as I start to rotate, the left wrist stays flat, the forward wrist stays flat, the back wrist starts to cup immediately. And it comes back up, and you can see even when it gets up here, and I make a good backswing up here, my left wrist is relatively flat, and my right wrist has a cup. I think as Mr. Boone stated, that as we come down, it will cock even more. Now, naturally, if I let it cock too much, if I really let it cock too much, it could cause my left wrist to bow. All right? We see a couple of guys on the tour doing that. In fact, many tour players do that. The rotational guys, they do that because if you're here and you bow your wrist, see what it does? It lets the club come back, so it pushes the club back inside a little bit more so that you can hopefully come from the inside, because once they come out over the top, they're with a big, deep rotational turns, and they come, the club can get outside the hand, so when they bow it, it kind of holds it, it's holding it back. Now, one of the things Dr. Armstrong told me way back in the beginning of the first time we ever met was that the strongest position of the hand in dynamic balance is when it's flat, okay? Because all the muscles from that connect from the elbow to the wrist and then from the elbow to the shoulder is at their normal length to produce work. All the muscles are equal. The muscles are the same length. As soon as I cut my wrist, I've just done what? I've stretched the inside muscles on top and bottom and contracted the outside muscles. So that hand is now out of dynamic balance. Same thing if I go, it's just the opposite. If I let my hand bow here, these muscles are stretched, the insides are contracted. Well, when we get at a dress where we start and then get back to impact and they both straighten out, our muscles are at their optimum length to produce work. They're longest and they're all equal, which means both arms at impact are dynamically balanced to swing through. But just remember, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So again, I take the club back, I'm going into the catcher's mitt, toe up, I lift it up the tree, all right? As soon as I started turning, as I already said, this right hand of mine with the lower hand is already starting to cup a little bit. It stays in that position all the way up. But when I finally transition, I ring my bell and bump and transition, and I'm trying to maintain that angle. I don't want I can't go here and try to get the club closer to my body. If I do, my hand's coming coming apart here. I want to maintain both total grip pressure. So when I transition and the club is coming down, and I'm trying to maintain this right angle between the forearm and the shaft right here, as I'm coming in like that, the weight of the club being held, me trying to hold the club and maintain this distance, my right wrist will cup a little bit more. Not a whole lot, because that's all I can do. I don't have extreme flexibility. All right. Now, I have been told that Mr. Hogan could take his left thumb and touch it down here to his forearm. I'm not about to do that. All right. And so if he could do that with the left, he could probably do it with his right thumb, and that's why he looks like he can down cock more than most people. I've heard John Daly has that same thing. It's one of the reasons why he can overswing and keep such good control, and because he keeps his overswing right over his shoulder, so he's got his leverage of his body to pull it up. But again, watch. As I come down, it's getting a little bit more flex in there, but not much. And then all of a sudden, from here, boom, right there to impact. Right at impact. And they're both straight. Then they both go through, and look what happens now. After I hit the ball, they're both straight at impact. Okay? Right and left straight at impact. And as I go through, what's happening now? The right one is becoming the firm straight string. Right? The left one was the string in the backswing to impact. And now from impact forward, the right one now becomes the string. And the left one's starting to cup. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So from there, the right one stays relatively straight all the way up, and then until I get to the finish. And as the right one is straight, cupped a little bit until I get to the finish, and over the shoulder, and they both get pretty close. Although the left one has a little flex in it, they actually, at some point, maybe both have. And when I come back down here in front, they're back to straight again. So there's a reversal of the hands. So there is a little cupping, but Mr. Boone is absolutely correct. The right one will cup in the backswing, but the left one should never arch. Dr. Armstrong told me that an arch wrist anywhere during the swing is the weakest position for most males. Women tend to arch, men tend to cup if they're going to change their angle. It's all something to do with the connective tissues of how the muscles connect to the elbows. It's called the carrying angle. I'm not going to get into that today. That's a whole other topic, and it's going to take a lot more than the time of a daily to explain it. But when men change their wrist angle, they tend to arch. Women tend to cup. Every now and then, you'll find that'll be opposite. You might find a woman cupping and the few men who arch. But the best thing is as far as your dominant or your lead arm goes, which if your top arm, if you're a right-handed player, the left arm and the backswing to impact is your string, and it stays flat, and then your bottom arm, your right hand, the wrist stays firm and becomes the string in the forward swing. So that's how this works. So basically, I think Mr. Boone was correct on everything except the comment about where bowing seems to be approved. I think if you're a rotational swayer, yes, swinger, but if you're a surge swinger and you're trying to make the impacts we make with the vertical swing, you will basically never let your wrist bow. Okay? So hopefully that clears that up, but the string, when the arm is the string, the wrist is always flat, firm, solid, and maintaining its angle. Okay? Well, that's it for the search for today about flat wrists, especially at impact, for the power to hit it solid and straight and shoot those lower scores. That's it for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.